Every single day, your body is quietly forming cancerous cells. And for most of your life, you never know it's happening. As a cancer researcher, that reality led me to a question that completely changed how I think about this disease. Not why do people get cancer, but why don't more of us die from it? The answer starts with understanding what cancer actually is. It's not a foreign invader. It's not bad luck striking out of nowhere. Cancer is simply your own normal cells making copying errors. Every time a cell divides, it copies its genetic code and mistakes happen. In fact, the average adult body makes around 10,000 DNA errors every single day. By that logic, we should all be riddled with cancer, but we're not. And that tells you something incredibly important about the power your body already has. Your immune system hunts down and destroys abnormal cells constantly. Your body also has the ability to block blood vessels from growing into suspicious tissue, essentially starving potential cancers before they can establish themselves. These are not small functions. These are powerful, sophisticated defense systems running quietly in the background of your biology every hour of your life. Here's where it gets even more interesting. When pathologists perform autopsies on people who died from completely unrelated causes, they find something remarkable inside the tissues. Among women between the ages of 40 and 50, about 40% already carry microscopic breast cancers. Tumors so small they would never be caught on a scan, and most of which would never grow into anything dangerous. Among men between 50 and 60, roughly half carry silent prostate cancers that will, in all likelihood, never threaten their lives. And in people over 70, nearly everyone has microscopic thyroid cancer. Nearly everyone. These people lived full lives and died of something else entirely. What this tells us is that cancer is not a sudden event. It is a long, slow process unfolding over decades, shaped by genetics, yes, but also profoundly shaped by lifestyle, environment, and the biological conditions we create inside our own bodies. And that means we have real power to influence the outcome. Let's start with one of the most misunderstood foods on the planet, soy. Soy is an excellent source of plant-based protein. It contains dietary fiber and a group of bioactive compounds called isoflavones, one of which is classified as a phytoestrogen. That word alone has scared millions of people away from tofu and soy milk, particularly women with or at risk for breast cancer. The reasoning seemed logical. Some breast cancers are fueled by human estrogen, so anything with estrogen-like properties must be dangerous. But that reasoning falls apart when you look at the actual chemistry. Human estrogen and soy's phytoestrogen have completely different molecular structures. They are not the same thing. And rather than mimicking human estrogen, soy's phytoestrogens actually block it, functioning almost like a natural version of tamoxifen, the pharmaceutical drug designed specifically to block estrogen in breast cancer patients. Beyond the estrogen question, one particular isoflavone in soy called genistein has been shown in research to cut off the blood supply that feeds cancer cells. No blood supply, no growth. Your body's own cancer-starving mechanisms get a meaningful boost. The Shanghai breast cancer study put this to the test at scale. It followed over 5,000 women who already had breast cancer, the highest possible risk group. Women who consumed around a cup of soy milk or 10 grams of soy protein per day had a 30% lower risk of dying from their cancer. Among women who had already completed treatment and wanted to prevent recurrence, higher soy consumption was linked to a 20 to 30% reduction in the cancer coming back. And for anyone inclined to dismiss that as one isolated study, 14 consecutive studies have examined soy intake and breast cancer outcomes. In every single one, higher soy consumption either had no negative effect or was associated with lower mortality. Not a single study showed increased risk. 14 in a row. Now let's talk about tomatoes and why cooking them might be one of the smartest things you can do for your long-term health. Tomatoes are rich in vitamin C, excellent for hydration, and loaded with carotenoids that support healthy vision and aging. One of those carotenoids is lycopene, and it has a particularly powerful effect on cancer's blood supply. The Harvard Health Professionals follow-up study tracked more than 36,000 men over 20 years, tracking what they ate and what diseases they developed. Men who ate 2 to 3 servings of cooked tomatoes per week had a 30% lower risk of prostate cancer. Among those who did develop it, the men who ate more cooked tomatoes had less aggressive, less vascularized tumors, meaning even when cancer appeared, it had less blood feeding it, making it less dangerous. To get the most out of lycopene, combine your tomatoes with a healthy fat. Lycopene is fat-soluble, meaning it absorbs significantly better in the presence of oil. Slow-simmered tomato sauce with extra virgin olive oil is not just a comfort food, it's one of the most bioavailable cancer-fighting meals you can put on the table. Apples are another food that earns their reputation. The flesh of an apple contains a polyphenol called chlorogenic acid, a potent anti-inflammatory compound that actively lowers inflammatory markers in the bloodstream. The fiber in apples also feeds the gut microbiome, which responds by producing short-chain fatty acids that further reduce systemic inflammation. One piece of fruit doing 2 separate jobs simultaneously. Berries are in a category of their own. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, lingonberries, gooseberries. The entire family is extraordinary. Their vivid colors come from natural pigments called anthocyanins, and these compounds have a direct effect on blood vessels. They train blood vessels to behave in healthier, more controlled ways, which benefits your cardiovascular system and simultaneously cuts off the blood supply that cancers depend on to grow. They are also among the most potent antioxidants available in whole food form, actively protecting your DNA from damage. And raspberries, as light and airy as they feel in your hand, are pound for pound one of the highest fiber foods in existence, a powerful prebiotic that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and drives down inflammation throughout the body. To understand why all of this matters so deeply, you need to understand the relationship between cancer and inflammation. Think of a microscopic cancer cell as a seed, a bad seed sitting in soil. Whether that seed stays dormant for the rest of your life or begins to sprout and grow depends enormously on the condition of the soil around it. Chronic inflammation is fertilizer for that bad seed. Here's what happens at the cellular level. Cancer cells, even tiny dormant ones, release low levels of growth factors, chemical signals that try to recruit surrounding tissue into supporting them. On their own, these signals are weak. But when chronic inflammation enters the picture, everything accelerates. Inflammatory cells begin to cluster around the dormant cancer, and they release their own flood of cytokines and growth factors directly into that local environment. Normal cells around them are stressed and damaged by this chemical storm. The cancer cell, it thrives. It uses every signal as fuel. You've seen this process play out in real life, even if you didn't recognize it at the time. A sunburn is acute inflammation. Repeat sunburns, season after season, year after year, create a cycle of radiation-induced DNA mutations combined with recurring inflammation. That combination, mutated cells sitting inside chronically inflamed tissue, is precisely how a microscopic skin abnormality becomes a melanoma. The same story unfolds in the esophagus of someone who drinks heavily over many years. Alcohol relaxes the sphincter between the esophagus and stomach, allowing acid to splash upward repeatedly. That acid burns the tissue, causes inflammation, damages DNA, and over time, the esophagus goes from healthy to chronically inflamed to cancerous. Esophageal cancer is among the deadliest we know, and chronic inflammation is the engine driving its development. The through line in all of this is clear. Chronic inflammation is the accelerant. It takes what might remain a harmless, dormant seed and gives it everything it needs to grow. The foods you choose every single day, whether they fan the flames of that inflammation or actively cool them, are not trivial decisions. They are decisions that compound over years and decades into outcomes that will one day become your health history. You have more control over this than you may have ever been told. Vidicue Sonnet 4.6 Adaptive Kiel.